Good morning, everyone. Hope you're all well. Happy Sunday. For those of you who are in the northern hemisphere, I hope you're all enjoying the wonderful summer. As luck would have it, I wanted to give a teaching this Sunday on how to go about engaging with our summer while bringing our practice and prayers to more of a summer season type practice and how to engage with the beautiful outdoors and the socializing that we do during this season. Interestingly enough, when I was editing the teachings to reintroduce during the week as I've been doing, it just so happened that the teaching that I was working on happened to be the teaching that I gave in February to those people who were in the southern hemisphere during this summer. And as I was listening to it, I thought, this is exactly what I wanted to say. So I'm very happy to be able to present it to you this Sunday, so you may all hear it. And I hope that it blesses and graces your life. And maybe later on today, if it's not too hot where you are, maybe you might decide to go outside and spend a little time in nature. And maybe, practice a little bit of the things that I've suggested. I find being outside and moving around to be a wonderful time to be able to connect deeper with ourselves, with God, and with our families and friends. So I hope you enjoy this teaching, and I wish you the most beautiful day and a wonderful week. Good morning, everyone. I hope you are all well. So this is a special little guidance for my friends in the southern hemisphere. I hope you're all having a wonderful, wonderful summer. Here in California, we literally just had like 4 days of sudden rain. I think we received more rain in 4 days than we normally get in a whole year, especially in Southern California. So we are full on in the winter season. So I would like to just say, if you are in the winter and you're doing the 4-month winter practice, this is not the right time to listen to this. So if just wanted to nobody to get confused with the different instructions and to switch your frame of mind. So I'd like to just have this reserved for the people who are currently doing the summer, because it's very important, especially when you're beginning, to keep the orientation of your mind in what you're doing. So you're all focused on those instructions, which are very different than summer instructions. Okay? So, before I do anything, I always call on to God to enter our space. And for me, I ask him to give me wisdom and guidance and to speak through me. So let's do that together. Hands together. Say the name you feel called. Summer has a very, how to put it, masculine force. It's very emanating. I haven't really discussed the difference between masculine and feminine energies yet. Winter is very feminine. Summer is very masculine. Hence why I didn't want to confuse people who are currently in winter. So the summer, it's very outgoing, it's very emanating. The masculine energies are very emanating. Feminine are more about space. Within space emanates the masculine. So you need to have the space for something to move, right? So summer is all about movement because we're all outside enjoying the beautiful weather, especially if we've had a difficult winter. So we are looking on movement. So the name of God that is the most about movement is Yahweh, and to a certain extent Emmanuel. So I'm going to do Yahweh, which is actually my main practice. Yahweh, 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 Yahweh. So normally after a winter, one brings in a sort of energy of clarity and groundedness. And during the summer, one tries to find moments in time where one could sort of touch in to the divine or touch in to the universe. So when we are in motion, we can try an ever increasing sort of ability, or ever increasing, what could be the word? So in ever increasing ways that we could try to maintain the stability of our practice with us. That it's not just what we are able to resonate with during our practice at home, our prayers at home, or our prayers in temple or synagogue or in a church. But we're able to take that and emanate it into the world. Especially when one is beginning the practice of what is said in Eastern teachings, taking it off the cushion, so the meditation cushion in that tradition, right? Whatever we sit on that we're comfortable, we are taking it out into the world, into what we do. So during the winter, we relate with much fewer people than we do during the winter. During the winter tends to be our family, our close friends, work, right? Maybe the gym. During the summer, we are out and about. We're meeting new people. If we're single, summers are a good way to meet somebody for the coming winter, right? So we're out there, we're socializing. We go out to restaurants and to bars. How do we take the skills and mindfulness off the cushion? Our connection with God off the cushion into our lives. And how do we fit God into such a busy schedule? So my suggestion is we take God with us. He's not just in a religious space or in the corner or room of our house. He lives in our heart. And ultimately, whatever we cultivate spiritually needs to be taken out into the world. In my personal opinion, it has very little use if one doesn't take it with us, for several reasons. Firstly, we're not putting it into practical effect. And it's a sign that the teachings haven't taken root at a deep level. Because as one develops a heart of God, consciousness that relates with the divine, as one's energy clears, energy rises to the spiritual centers of the body, which is the heart, the third eye, the crown chakra. Yes, the heart of God, love, compassion, thinking of others, taking care of ourselves. The third eye, wisdom, transcendent wisdom, divine wisdom, which connects directly to the crown chakra, where the wisdom of dimensions above us, such as heaven and God, come into us and give us wisdom and guidance. So we become more than just a normal human being. We're a human being that taps in to something deeper than the surface level of this world, like just the table, the glass table I'm speaking from. Because right below that is energy, and all energy comes from the source of God, otherwise we wouldn't exist. And if you're just spiritual, all energy comes from the universe. This planet is made from the universe, from stars, from rocks that came from other places, that were created from suns, that were born, that died, that exploded, congressed into this planet, and it's all made of molecules. And there's a profound energy that we're able to tap in all the time. So with our practice, as we grow deeper in our connection with God, we change. And I would say we change at a cellular level. Many of my teachers have taught. We fundamentally change. We change in our orientation, and our body becomes lighter, more open. We've sort of cleared the antenna that I've spoken about in previous teachings over the summer, and I think over last spring. Our receptiveness to our practice has cleared the rust, has cleared the lack of signal that keeps us from relating in a deeper way with our world. A lot of people in the previous questions I've answered last Sunday spoke about being deadened, not able to connect. That occurs sometimes on the spiritual path. It occurs with me. It's a very painful place to be. But that's sometimes when we do the deep work. We're working through those deadened places in us. And as we go through it with courage and prayer and hope of an undeadened space, we clear it. And on the other side, we often have greater abilities to connect. So that was number one. Number two, as one grows closer to God and does our practice, our hearts heal. And we start caring more about other people. We start seeing our desire for love, our desire to better connect with our families, our desire to pay more attention to our animals, seeing the wonder of birds, seeing the beauty of trees, their green leaves, the birds that sit on them, the majestic oaks, beautiful flowers, beautiful little bunny rabbits running around, and the sacredness of life, how every animal wishes to be happy, as well as all humans wish to be happy. Fundamentally, one of the big problems on this planet is the lack of people being happy, because the circumstances are so difficult, and today increasingly environmental issues, poverty issues, homeless issues. And as one deepens in our practice and clears sort of our hard-heartedness, the blocks we have in our heart from abuse or just being worn out or our circumstances, and one gets some strength to still maintain one's presence, but also have an openness, while also, if one needs one, a certain protection that it doesn't fully land. So it's not just being open and love and sweetness, but you also have a certain strength and resilience if whatever comes back at you is not that. Right? That takes a little practice, but especially at the beginning, it's just more open and accepting. And I think that's the beauty which comes from deeper practice, particularly during the winter, that one is able to take into the summer. If one can see more with appreciation of what's going on, as opposed to the doing and fun, but one is able to step back a little bit, another Eastern term, and perceive as one is acting. So how does one step back? This is in a way why I teach some meditation along with the names of God. You say the names of God a little bit, and then you kind of sit in the open space, right? And try to remain mindful and to steady the mind. So I think this Sunday, that's where we're going to go a little bit. So I've mentioned it a few times. If one is able to cultivate a sense of stillness in the mind, one is able to perceive in an ever-increasing, continuous way. One remains aware. It's kind of what they're saying being awake in the Eastern teachings. One stops walking around sort of doing and being asleep, but you have an increasing awareness and appreciation of what you're doing. It's a practice, it's a skill one needs to develop. But also being taught that by me mentioning it, it sort of opens one's reality that it's possible, and one begins to quote-unquote work on it. So as one goes about one's day and goes swimming and out in the mountains and hiking and football and soccer and baseball and everything else, one tries to kind of step back and perceive. So this is a practice that you can do during the summer. By perceiving in a deeper way, one is able to live in greater majesty and appreciation of the beauty that's around us. I'm very much into nature. But this can also be applied to our relationships, to our friends, to a movie, to anything. So we are taking the skills off the cushion and we're applying them into the world. When we move, one's a practice of stillness and control and quiet in our prayer space, to out where there's movement, noise, chaos, a lot of energies flying around. And that strengthens our spiritual religious muscle to maintain the energies that we've cultivated. So what I recommend for the summer is please try to continue the normal practice. Try to fit it in the morning or in the evening. right? Not when you're too tired, when you have a place where you're normally kind of awake and centered and present. And you could also give yourself permission to do things afterwards. I tried when I was starting to do it at the very end of the day, and I was just too tired. But when I decided to do it at 7 p.m. and gave myself permission to watch TV or do whatever afterwards, it really worked because I was able to put in the time. And honestly, it's all about putting in the time. Like a good swimmer, you gotta put in the time to practice in the pool. And with this, to develop these abilities, to take it out into the world, one needs to develop the skills and ability, and often that's just putting in the time. So if one is able to do that, when you're out in the world, take a moment to sit back. Right. Even if you're doing things with friends, you can get up a little earlier in the morning, go outside, sit down, take a few deep breaths, and just look at what's around you. Find that still point, which hopefully one is cultivating slowly with time, and just see. And try to touch back in with that throughout the day. This is a practice, quite frankly, for everyday life, regardless if it's winter or whatever. But during the summer, we're out and about. So we're leaving a little bit our civilized world, our inner cities, right? We go out to the beach, we go out hiking, we're outside, we're on a play field, we're in parks. There's stillness there. Try to work on bringing in some stillness and awareness to what you're doing. And you could show appreciation to God there. You could take a moment, and even if there are people around you, to try to pull back a little bit. Like I mentioned earlier, just move inward, try to still your mind and look with awareness. Eastern term. That means you're just looking and being receptive. And when one's able to do that, you're really able to perceive a lot more information through your eyes and your ears and your felt senses. And as you go further, even a little more of the psychic abilities which may come. And it's not that you remove yourself, but actually you're even more present to what's going on. You increase in presence. By stepping back, you increase. You're more engaged with what you say. You're more careful with what you say. You are more there for your friends and your family. And you're more in alignment. Because that's kind of where we're always supposed to be, but we're kind of deadened. We're sort of taking off the shell of us being a caterpillar, doing its metamorphosis into a butterfly, and we are starting to spread our wings and flying in ever more delicate and beautiful ways. And we can work on that during this summer. Remaining light, taking some time. If you're out hiking next to a beautiful stream, sit down, listen to the water. Do your practice in nature. I love doing my practices in nature. You could do your practice on a bus, on a boat. You just take that moment and just step back. Call in God, say your prayer. Put your hands together. I don't tend to do it publicly, but even if I feel called on a public beach and I feel like to take a moment and I'm off by my side, I tend to be off by my side in beaches just because I like it more quiet so I can connect with nature. Do your practice. Put your hands together. Pray. I love the sun. I love sunbathing, to the chagrin of my dermatologist. It's a wonderful way to connect with God when the sun is shining onto your skin. Be sure to wear good SPF. You don't ever want to burn. You lie back and you let the sun bake you. You could say your prayer before the names of God and sit back and relax and pray to God to come and to heal you. You can visualize that the sun is the manifestation of Yahweh, of God. This is more of a Yahweh energy, very emanating, very present in our world, the creator of all that is here. So you view the sun and the heat and how it goes into your skin and makes you feel good and warm as a healing balm, and you melt into it, asking everything that doesn't serve you to leave. It's a mixture of shamanism with Buddhism and Western religions. And you could pray, and as you relax, you might actually find yourself in a very deep state of communion with God. And then you go off into the ocean. Actually, at the beginning, what I do is I pray to be cleared and purified, and I go into the ocean even if it's a little cold. And I go in, and even if you are not the best swimmer, you just go into your, to your kneecaps a little more, where you feel safe, and you put yourself in the water 3 times while praying to be purified of all that doesn't serve you. I'm in the Pacific Ocean, extremely salty. I think all the world's oceans are salty. I think there's certain oceans that are less salty than others, but the salt purifies and cleans, and it's almost like you're doing a little baptism, a recommitment to God, a recommitment of wishing to reconnect with purity. And if you take that spirit with you, then everything you do at that beach becomes spiritual, becomes part of a practice. It doesn't just need to be in a church or in a temple or at home or next to your shrine. You can take it out there with you. So you dunk yourself 3 times. You do your self-baptism to return to fuller communion with the divine, and then you go sunbathing. The sun, the salt that's on your skin, I wouldn't dry yourself off, or maybe just a little bit. I tend not to. I apply my sunscreen and I lie down. So the slight amount of salt that's still on us continually takes out energies out of the body. When it bakes in the sun, there's always an emanating out. The salt really helps. I take a shower before I go to the beach, so my skin is very clean and not oily, so I could really relate with the ocean and the salt. And then you lie down and you pray. And then you put on the sun lotion, one that's very moisturizing. I love, what's it called? Australian Gold is a wonderful one. Hawaiian Tropic is wonderful, which is the one I use right now. They are very creamy. So it's very healing to the skin. You feel very full, and then you pray and you lie back and you try to maintain your presence with God. You can go up into a meditation posture. You could lie down. It helps one connect. One could do this also while hiking. Sit by the stream and you connect. With these sort of practices, when you're out there, is sort of how you take it off the mat. And even if you're out there with friends, you could spend a couple minutes by yourself. Hey, I'm going to walk up the beach. You go up the beach, you do it. You take a few minutes to pray when you're up, then you come back with your friends. And when everybody lies back down to sunbathe, you sunbathe in a slightly different way. And nobody really needs to know. And, if people see you praying off to the side, oh, what are you doing? Well, I'm doing this. Well, that maybe inspires other people a little bit. I tend to keep it, more private, but if people notice and they ask, I was pretty much known as a yogi and meditator and very religious, and that's just how people perceive me. Everybody's got their thing, and people were actually very respectful and held it, and they appreciated me for it. And that's sort of how one goes about it. Remember to please try to just, even if it's a little shorter, to do your practice in the morning, evening, not to let it go. And when you're out and about, take those few moments to step back. Step back, touch in, bring in God, say His name just a couple times throughout the day. Reconnect, touch in. And with time, it just starts happening naturally. One starts living in greater communion with God. And the summer is a time to touch in with it actively, taking it off the cushion. And the last thing, as one develops greater connections with God, one lives increasingly with the heart. And the heart resonates with what's around us. And we appreciate it. And as we appreciate it, we touch in with the divine creation. And that creation always has God in it. And so it reinforces if one's able to see things from that perspective. So let me think a moment and see if there's something else to share here. What we're doing is taking mindfulness out into the world. We're taking our practice out into the world. Religion is meant to be taken out into the world and become an integrated part of our lives. It's not meant to be just done in temple, clocking it in. A church just, every Sunday clocking it in. But to take it out to everything we do. By taking it and being aware and taking what we do outside and making God and our spiritual walk part of it, our manifestation becomes clearer, our energy rises and becomes more stable. And then with the heart, we can take it out into the world and have a greater inclination to help people around us. Because ultimately, what we wish to do is help people around us. If it's even not possible today, because it's, sometimes even more and more dangerous to help people, people sometimes are less stable than they've been before. At the very least, you see what they need, and you could say a prayer at a minimum. If there's a homeless person and seems somewhat sane and you won't put yourself in danger, when you go shopping, what's the harm of buying an extra sandwich or two and giving it to them on the way out? To see that homeless cat and not just walk by like everyone else and tries to help that animal you try to find him some help. We engage with our world, we feel less separate. This stops us from feeling separate and dependent, like people have mentioned, because we realize the beauty that surrounds us. We realize all the things that surround us, and we start appreciating and engaging with it. And that's really what God wants us to do. We take it out into the world. We're the emanation of compassion, of God's awareness. Our vibration changes. We could find our friends coming to us to ask for assistance of things. I've had people on the subway just start sharing their lives and asking for my input. I was just sitting there. People begin to sense there's something different with us, and we become a little bit like Yahweh's manifestation on this planet, and we call that the Emmanuel manifestation of Yahweh. We are here, and we can shine a light. In Judaism, there is a concept of tikkun olam. It's sort of a obligation or requirement that you take out into the world to your spirituality to help repair the world, to try to uplift the world, to make the world a better place. It's about compassion, about taking our spiritual growth and our connection with God and trying to improve things, to having that genuine heart of compassion that's spoken about of Buddhism. Christianity, Jesus' ministry was all about helping others, was all about improving the world, was all about ethics and morality, which is all about how you manifest in the world. God and his commandments, his covenant with the Jewish people, a lot of those are about how we engage with other people. So in the summer, these are all things we work on. They help our world. They're the path of religion. They're the path to God. They create good karma, good mitzvah, good energies that propel us through our lives and ultimately would lead us back to heaven when our energies ascend because our frequencies have increased. We're not a frequency of dendenness, of low frequency. We're a higher frequency. Naturally, higher frequencies rise. And we bless our planet while we're here. That is our religious path in action. And during the summer, that is when we really emanate. We have the sun in a higher orbit above our planet. There are higher frequencies that directly touch us. The space goes more from a female openness of winter, much more lunar in its energy, to the summer, more emanating, very solar, very masculine. So I hope this blesses you, my dear friends in the Southern Hemisphere. I spent some time down there in Peru and also Australia, where I was for 3 months, starting with a wonderful Mardi Gras in Sydney. I love Australians so much, and there's so much beauty down there, very different than the northern. It really touched my soul, all the tropical rainforests and the beaches, and you guys have the Southern Cross in the sky, which is just so majestic. So I send you all my love and best wishes for this wonderful summer. I hope you enjoy it, and thank you. It's been an honor speaking with you directly. I wish you all a beautiful, wonderful day. Bye-bye.